like 35 minutes early, so that's cool. Hey, before I start, how many people are going to ask me to sign something after I'm done with this? Sweet. Yeah, I can sign. I know there weren't a lot of people at the signing today because they kind of hid me, I think. Like, I was like in this private little conference room signing stuff. I'm like, are you sure people know where I am today? So, it was cool. So, hi, I'm Chris Sabat. I'm a voice actor from Dallas, Texas. And you can read about me in the program there, so I don't really necessarily have to explain everything, but I might as well. I started at Funimation in like, I guess it was like 1998, and I got a call from a friend of mine who I knew was working at this company that had 2 employees. They're called Funimation, and they said they were auditioning for some like show or something like that called Dragon Ball or whatever, and I didn't know what it was. I'm actually going to close these doors just for the heck of it, because I get easily distracted and there's a lot of noise out there, and then I'll see like a red shirt and then I'll be completely distracted. Anyway, so I got a call from someone saying they were auditioning for some show called Dragon Balls or something, and I didn't know what it was. So I went up there and auditioned for some stuff, and I got the part of Yamcha and Igor in this little direct-to-video Dragon Ball feature called Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle. It was like did any of you guys see that one? Yeah. Okay, yeah, really, it was one of Funimation's first releases. And at that time, I didn't know anything about anime at all. Like, I knew nothing. I'd watched like Ghost in the Shell and Akira and Fist of the North Star, and that was pretty much it. And before that, like, all I knew was called Japanime or something offensive like that. And, oh wow, sweet, I'm getting a phone call. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, Brina? I'm doing a panel right now. That's fine, just get it done by Monday. God. Look, I gotta go. These people are all staring at me now. It's really awkward. They're not gonna know who you are. I'm just kidding. I'll tell them you said hi. Okay, dude, no profanity. Gotta go. That's Brina. Her name's Brina Palencia. She does, she's a voice actress as well. She does Tony Chopper, and she does, what other stuff does she do? She's the girl that you see every time you go to GameStop and there's some girl talking about games on TV. What'd you say? Yeah, she plays that. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, anime, Funimation. There were like 4 employees there. I got that job. We did that thing for in that show called Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle, and I didn't know at the time that what it was just a test to see if they could actually dub anime in Texas as opposed to California. Sorry, as opposed to Canada. Very different, California and Canada. That. And so they asked if I was interested in perhaps like coming on board to Funimation, helping them cast and direct the Dragon Ball Z series. And I was like, okay, cool. Is that a good show? And they're like, yeah, we think it'll do pretty well. And and so at the time, Funimation was, as I said, there were like 3 or 4 employees. There was hardly anybody working for Funimation at that time. It's just the tiniest little place. And when we first started recording, they were just trying to figure out how to do it. So when we first started dubbing Dragon Ball, sweet. Did I hear something? Nah, must have been a mouse. Huh? God, I love that game. Yeah, I love that game. I've told a lot of people in the past that like if there was one character I wish I could play, it would be Solid Snake. Not because I think I could do it any better, it's just I love that character and I love that game. Alright, so where was I? Oh yeah, Funimation, tiny place. Dragon Ball Z, who knows what's going to happen to it? It's 1998 or something like that. Some of you weren't even born yet. And, especially you. So they asked me to come in and help me cast and direct the show. But the problem is, nobody in Dallas had ever dubbed any anime before. There was nothing like it in Dallas. No one else had done it. And so, and neither had Funimation really. So we had like a toaster connected to an umbrella, which is connected to like the electric socket, which was plugged into like, you know, a roll of masking tape, and it like was plugged into a refrigerator, which was like filled with like, I don't know, ramen noodles or something like that. And so we were really just like crudely recording the show. In fact, when we first started recording, we were recording on these, it was called a digital beta deck. It was like a 3/4 digital beta. And it's like a VHS tape. None of you guys have ever heard of those before, but we used them back in the Middle Ages to put our video content on them that we would rent or buy for exorbitant prices. These particular video cassettes were about this big, and they were huge, and went in this giant machine.
Yeah.
You have to shove it in, and it took forever to rewind it. Like, I mean, literally long enough to take a smoke break. I wouldn't recommend smoking. Unless you're using this piece of machinery, then I would, because you want to like punch somebody when you're using it. And every take that you would have to do on this thing, you press go on the computer, and the computer would have to send a message to that tape recorder that, oh, guess what, we're recording something, so we need to see the videos. The tape recorder would go, funkat. And then it would start playing. It was really, really crude and really annoying. And when I first started working on Dragon Ball, they handed me this giant box of video cassettes. And it contained, I think, it was this huge box. I think it only contained like up through Gohan training in the woods or something. It was this huge container of them. And it was like one episode on each tape, and I had to start watching all these. Like, okay, this is getting boring. Like, Gohan, I don't want him to train in the woods anymore. This is so stupid. But then, the more I was watching it, the more I was like, I could just probably do one more tape this evening. That wouldn't be a problem. Let me just do one more episode before I go to sleep. So the first few weeks of Funimation, I was really tired because I was fascinated with it. Problem is, though, when we were first working on it, the Japanese and Funimation were not, the information was not being shared as easily as they wanted to, because of course the internet was really crappy back then in 1998. Like, you were lucky if you could download, if you download a picture, you'd have to like set it to download overnight and then come back the next day and it'd be almost done downloading. And so you couldn't transfer full episodes of video or anything like that. So, and apparently Japan had lost a lot of the, or they couldn't find some of the masters, so they didn't have all the episodes. We had to start borrowing episodes from Mexico. Because we didn't have, so a lot of the episodes we didn't even get to watch in advance. All we had was the Mexican version of it, and it was all like, and the funny thing about the Mexican dub of Dragon Ball is that Chi-Chi in the Dragon Ball series was really inappropriate in the Spanish dub. So if you guys know that, Chi-Chi means like boob or something like that. So they had to change her name to appropriately Milk, which was, I guess, related in some way. I guess if you're birthing or whatever. So yeah, like part of working on Dragon Ball was really fun because I didn't know exactly where the series was going to go. I didn't even have up through the Android saga when we started dubbing it. I hadn't seen it, and there wasn't the whole translation of, there weren't fan subs. You couldn't go online and find it. You couldn't watch it on like JapanTube.biz or whatever. So it was a little tricky, and because of that, maybe some of the earlier episodes of Dragon Ball really weren't that good, but we still liked them. So we had a little bit of trouble, and the other problem we had was that it took so long to dub episodes that we couldn't afford to really pay actors a lot of money to come in and do it, because if you pay voice actors by the hour, at the rates that they normally get to do like a commercial or something like that, there was no way we could have dubbed Dragon Ball. So Funimation didn't have a huge budget for actors back in that day. And so we had to do these giant cattle calls and auditions for people. And we would call in anybody. I put an ad in the paper at one point, like looking for voice actors, and we had like 500 or 1,000 people showed up, and we found about 3 people who were good. And I don't even know if they were that good. In fact, I wasn't even that good back then. So we pulled some people out, but like Sean Schimmel came out of that audition. The voice of Goku was in there. We found all of our original cast off of that first casting call. And if you guys are really familiar with Dragon Ball, you know that the very original cast of Dragon Ball, the first like 60 episodes were done in Canada first, and then we redubbed them later, and then I guess we recorded a majority of the series in the United States, and then blah blah blah. We erased all the Canadian off of it so that nobody would know. And I'm glad they did that, because anyway, so where was I? So we've got all these things on tape, and we're really rushing, and we had very few actors. There were only like 10 or 15 actors on our actor list that could do it. So a lot of people have asked me, like, why did you do so many voices in Dragon Ball? Because I don't know if you all are aware of this, but I was like Vegeta. He's this guy, the angry short one that's ticked off all the time. It sounds like he has hemorrhoids. And then there's Piccolo. He's like down here, and his job, as I've said in the past, is pretty much to tell Gohan what to do. It's just like, Gohan, go, Gohan, stay, do it, don't do it, dodge, climb down, you name it. And he shoots stuff out of his fingers that we made up names for back in the time, because nobody knew how to say Makonko Sapo. And we thought Americans would go, huh? What are you talking about? And so, yeah, I also played this guy named Yamcha. It's like close to my voice, except he's like dorkier and surferier than normal. And in the Dragon Ball series, it's really cool, but in the Dragon Ball Z series, he's kind of a total weirdo. And he loses his girlfriend, and then, like, I don't even think his imaginary cat talks to him by the end of it, so it is pretty sad. And then I played this character called Sabat. And he is a saucy character. And I played kind of almost everybody in the Ginyu Force. As this guy named Raccoon, and every time I played it, every time we re-record him, I made him sound a little stupider.
And then I played this guy Burton.
And then
I played Jace, which is basically just Yamcha's voice with an Australian accent on it. Which made it really awkward when Jace and Yamcha fought each other at one time. And so, yeah, I remember actually, if you listen carefully, the very last words of Jace, and I insisted on doing this, even though the director was like, what? Because I wanted his last words to be kind of Australian-y, so I was like, oi! Anyway, so, it's a sound Australians make when they die, obviously. You guys, you've watched enough of Shark Week to know that's true. Let's see, I played lots of other characters in this series. I played all the dragons, actually. I played Shenron and Purunga and Omega Shenron and things like that. Oh, here's a question for you guys. Do you know how you can tell how powerful a dragon is? Which planet? The creator?
Nope, the size of its balls. Shenron has relatively small Dragon Balls, whereas Purunga had really large Dragon Balls, which evidently dropped at the end of the Namek saga. So let's see, and the dragons were always a challenge to dub over, because the Japanese just, it's like they didn't care. They're like, oh, we must put the dragon in, just have mouth go open and close, just like this. Just doesn't matter what he's saying. And the Japanese seem to have no care whatsoever when they were dubbing, and which was really hard for us, because we're like, you can't fit all that in there, you know? And another thing that sucked is that the way they animated a lot of Dragon Ball Z, it really affected the way Dragon Ball Z sounded, because a lot of the lines, if you watch it again, they all start with like a blah, 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 blah. So there's always one big open flap, and then they would start talking. So there was a lot of, hey, I think we need to go do this. I'm like, whoa, okay, I think we shall. You know, like, no, go on, don't go there. Let's see. So Dragon Ball was just, and I talk about it a lot because obviously I've done more of that than any other show. Like I started super early. It made me everything that I am today. Like I wouldn't have anything if it weren't for Dragon Ball. It's really weird. I get a little emotional talking about it because like I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be anywhere. Like I probably would be homeless or something. I don't know what I'd be doing because it was just an amazing job to come along at just the right time. Just in case you guys get into a situation like this, I was on the last semester of University of North Texas getting a radio, television, and film degree when they called and offered me that job. And so I had to make a really like important decision. I'm like, okay, do I leave school now and take this job that I'm going to school to get, or do I pass up the job and finish school so I can get a piece of paper that tells me I can get that job when I'm done? And I made a good decision for me. It freaked the heck out of my dad. He's like, what? And so, but about 8 years later, he's like, oh, okay, I see why you did that. But at the time, man, I don't know. I was really worried that it might not have been the right decision because when I first got hired on at Funimation, they're paying me $20,000 a year. And I was doing all the voices like in-house. And I think that's another reason why I got cast as a lot of voices. Like, man, Chris is cheap. We're only paying him $400 a week. And so, yeah, it was definitely paying my dues. And if anybody gets into production, I think everybody has to have that moment where they all have to pay their dues. Like everybody has to, like that first production job, you're gonna go, oh my gosh, seriously, I have to do all this for free? And you do. You have to go get coffee for people. You have to be like the whipping boy. You have to really go get a lot of Starbucks orders and stuff like that at first. Anyway, so Funimation, Dragon Ball, blah blah blah, worked on forever. It never goes away. Seriously, like when we thought it was over, then we redubbed it, and then we thought it was over, they fixed some of it, and then we thought it was over, there were video games, and there was another video game, and like I've said this probably a lot of times at conventions, but like Dragon Ball Z itself is kind of like Dragon Ball Z. Like you think it's dead, and then it like the smoke clears, and it's still sitting there going. I can do this. You haven't seen me transform yet. So you haven't seen my third transformation. I have another one beyond it. And so we worked on that. We finished it the first time, and then once we got through all the Dragon Ball Z stuff, we started dubbing Dragon Ball. I got to learn why Yamcha was actually kind of cool, and then we started working on Yu Yu Hakusho, and I played this guy named Kuwabara, and he has What I find really interesting is that Yu Yu Hakusho has one heck of a huge following. Like it's got a massive following. Like I think I have a Yu Yu Hakusho panel tomorrow. You do? Man, you do? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I might even show up for it. So yeah, we did, and that show was directed by Justin Cook, the guy who played Yusuke Urameshi. And in fact, I really need to suggest that he come here next year because I think you guys would really like him, and he would really like you guys too. Because I've had a really great, relaxing time at this place, and I love that freaking battleship you guys have. That is so rad. Seriously, that battleship was so awesome. Like I don't know how many of you guys have visited it before. I'm sure probably more times than you wish. Someone told me that like Cub Scout troops and stuff and Boy Scout troops.
Yeah, they sleep there all night.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if I could do it, man. That would scare the crap out of me. Because I went during the day, like on Thursday, and actually, yeah, it was like Thursday afternoon, and it was really eerie on it because it's all self-guided and you walk through it. And there were lots of times where I was like, am I even supposed to be here? Like, am I supposed to? Couldn't I hurt myself doing this? Like, but man, that was really rad. The other scary thing that happened to me here in Mobile, Alabama, I'm just kidding. I've been calling people all week. I'm like, I'm on my mobile phone, my mobile phone. Sorry. I ate at this restaurant this afternoon called Spot of Tea. It was really good. We went to Winchell's the night before that, which was freaking amazing. But I was drinking this strawberry sweet tea that they have there, and it was amazing. I was like, I'm gonna die if I drink too much of this tea. And I think it was foreshadowing because she's filled up the tea for like the 15th time, and I was like, I'm not drinking anymore. And right when I quit, this fly that had been circling around like ended up just like suicide mission right in the tea. But what's weird is that he was either knew it was gonna die or it hit the tea and immediately died. Which made me really scared. I'm like, what is in this tea that kills insects on contact? I need to market this. Like, kills all insects on contact. And it tastes great. But it was freaking awesome. I'm kind of wishing I had more of it right now. Anyway, so, I digress. What am I talking about? Yu Yu Hakusho. After Yu Yu Hakusho, I played a guy, I've never played anyone like this since. Except maybe for Alex Louise Armstrong, but this guy named Ayame. Do you guys remember Ayame from Fruits Basket? Yeah! The guy gets a lot of love, and I mean that in a lot of ways. And if there was one series, like I wish I could go, you know how we did Dragon Ball Z, Kai, and all that stuff? If there's one series I wish I could dub again, I wish we could actually dub the... what's it called? The Ayame series,
Fruits Basket.
One more time. I'm sorry, I'm really tired. It's been a long day and I haven't slept well. But I wish we could redub Fruits Basket because a lot of people ask me like, what was your favorite moment of recording on Fruits Basket? I'm like, well, my favorite moment is like actually remembering that I did it because we recorded it so fast. It was like 10 years ago that we did it, and we didn't know that people were going to love it so much at that time, and everyone loves it. So I kind of wish I could go back, at least watch myself do it from back in the day, because all I remember is that was the one character I had to, of all the characters I've ever played, that I had to take home a video cassette the night before and actually rehearse it, because it was just way too fast. Laura Bailey and Lucy Christian and even Brina are really, and Todd Habercorn, they're masters of just really fast talking characters. And that's not me. I always play dudes who don't want to be there. Which is like Vegeta, Piccolo, let's see, like Kurogane, Zoro. Do you guys watch One Piece? That's a crazy awesome show. Like, Zoro's the coolest voice for me because it's just my voice, which is awesome. Everyone's like, can you do Zoro's voice for me? I'm like, let me see. Yeah, I can do that. Zoro's so rad to play because he's the easiest character to play, and still you get to ride the boat with everybody else. Like, because all the rest of them have really hard stuff to do, and Zoro's just like. As long as you know how to snore, you can play Zoro really, really well. And I've heard recently that the mangaka said he's right at the halfway point, and that's like 500 episodes in, and I think we're only on episode 200 and something at Funimation, so we're maybe a quarter of the way through it.
And you should see Berserk.
Oh, I've heard horrible things about that show. No, I heard it's really, really good and horribly bloody.
It is.
But yeah, we worked on that. We worked on that show, and right now we're dubbing One Piece. We're at around the 200s or something like that, and we just left Foxy's crew or something like that. And it's super, super dark right now. It's like the darkest the show's ever been, so it's totally fun to play. It's not as cheerful as it was. I heard it goes back, but like, man, right now it's wicked dark. Like some really, really dark stuff happens. Let's see. I kind of skipped a lot of shows in there. I was another guy that I played that kind of sounds like me is this dude named Saiga from Speedgrapher. It's an adorable little show about a guy who kisses an underage girl and then can kill people with his camera. Totally happens. Totally can happen. I actually really liked working on that. It was with Chris Bevins. If you guys have heard of him, he's one of Funimation's directors, and he was one of the funnest directors to work with at that time, because he was so, like, we were all really overworked at Funimation for a long period of time, so when it would slow down, and when we recorded Speedgrapher, it was in one of the slow periods, so Chris would kind of roll up going, Oh yeah, sorry, I'm like 45 minutes late. All right, let's go smoke a cigarette first, and then he'd come back like, hold on a minute, I gotta go check my email. I go, oh man, hold on a minute, I gotta answer this email. Man, I'm really agitated. We should go smoke another cigarette or something. It took us like 8 months to record that series. It took forever to record that show, but it was fun. And I got to see a lot of action figures because he's obsessed with them. He's like, dude, the lost action figures are amazing. Let's see, other stuff I worked on. Oh yeah, Sergeant Frog is one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, it's super awesome. Have you guys watched that show at all? I play Giroro, the red frog who's in love with Natsumi! And he always carries around like a grenade launcher. And recently, I've been waiting to announce this, and only like the last convention I was at was the first convention we got to talk about it. Was a brand new show called Panty and Stocking featuring Garter Belt. And I'm playing Garter Belt. And I'm serious, like I have always, and I mean this with all sincerity, I have always wanted to play an African American dude. I have. And for a while, in Texas, there aren't a lot of African American voice actors. I don't know if they scared them all away a long time ago, or they're wise and they just left Texas. But all the really, really good like African American voice actors leave to go to LA. So there are times where I've been called in to do like an African American voice on a commercial because they can't find a guy that they like or something like that. And there was only one time when I turned it down because the spot was like. The spot had something about like I like this company because they represent who I am. They represent my voice. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying that. Like, there's no way. I can pass for it sometimes, but like, there's absolutely no way. And then I used to go in and do the African American version of the Texas Lottery, or not the African American spots for the Texas Lottery, and I was also the Caucasian voice of the Texas Lottery. And it was the same commercial. It's just the whole staff would change, and a different staff would come in, and we record like the African American campaign. So I'd come in, the Caucasian was like, play Mustang Money from the Texas Lottery, and it was all like cheesy and high. And then the next group would come in, they're like, play Mustang Money from the Texas Lottery. And like, it was practically the same voice, so just a little more relaxed. Anyway, so Garter Belt has been awesome, and he's like super, super fun to play. And it sounds like this, man. And he's this huge voice. And he's not stupid, he doesn't sound dumb at all, he's like totally badass, except he's also a pedophile. And he's also extremely perverted, and you guys need to watch that show if you're the age that you can watch it. In fact, the Japanese were like asked, because it's such an inappropriate show, they even asked the writers to use as much profanity in the show as possible. They even asked for explanations of what all the profanity was, and they wanted Jamie, who wrote it, to make up swear words for it. So if you're into creative cursing, that's the way to go. Good. Let's see, other stuff I worked on. I told you I was Kurogane in Tsubasa Chronicles, which is a really nice show. I played Kikucho in a show called Samurai 7, which is really fun. That character was hard because he was in this giant red robotic suit, and everything he said was really yelled out like this. It didn't matter what he was saying, but it was always loud. That hurt my voice a lot. Let's see, other stuff I've done. I don't know, do you guys remember any of the other ones? Oh yeah, I played Shin-Chan, which is a ridiculous show. I was the narrator in that. Lesbians! And then I played this dude his name is Yadro, and he was trying to get into community college, and he was awesome. And I can't even quote a lot of his lines because they're not even age appropriate. He's just really dark. Do you guys have any questions at this point? I've been kind of rambling forever. I'm sorry. Yes?
You mentioned working with Evans. Do you have any stories from working on Spiral?
Spiral? Yes, I do. I have a really good story. It's the story of the one time I went in there to do a session for Spiral. Because I go in and he's like, yeah, it's awesome. You have like 3 lines. And then they use those 3 lines for the rest of the series. Like, it's all they do is just flash back to those same 3 lines the whole time. And I never get to come back. And it was really, really weird. So that's all I know about Spiral. I couldn't tell you a thing about that show other than like, I'm your brother. That's it. See you later. Yes.
I'm really a huge fan of Armstrong because he's so hilarious. Can you quote a couple of things?
Sure. This is the quoting of lines of the anime convention that's been passed down the Armstrong line for generations. That guy is awesome. He's really, really fun. I was so happy when Brotherhood came out because he actually is in a lot more of the series, and it's super rad. And I love that guy because either he's really excited about something, or he's just going like this. Boys, I'm so happy! And I've always tried to imagine what it would be like to actually know a dude like that, who like just sometimes just doesn't wear a shirt to the office. You'd think that someone's like, dude, seriously, it's headquarters. Like,
well, he wore it to the headquarters, it just didn't last long.
Yeah, it's true. Whenever he got excited, it was like, boom! You won't like me when I'm happy! Sorry. Yes, I would pick you, Solid Snake, but I can't see you.
Other than Dragon Ball Z video games, I noticed you did Garland and Final Fantasy the City.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. What other video games have you actually done?
I've worked on a lot of them. I did a lot of stuff on Blood Rain. I did a lot of work on, let's see, I was in Saints Row the Third, but honestly, you'd be lucky if you could find me. They called me in to do it, and I was like, oh, sweet, and I'm just like, kind of a pedestrian dude. Some guy who hooks up with a prostitute in a car or something like that. Like, you drive fast enough, you're like, I don't know. But it was a really fun session. I was directed by Troy Baker in that session, which was kind of fun too, because I love Troy. Let's see, I always forget the video games I worked on. My favorite video game company to work with, though, is called Twisted Pixel. And they are awesome. They're based in Austin. They're super, super cool. The guy who runs that place, his name is Josh Bear, and he's one of the, hands down, the most creative people I've ever met in my life. And he's one of the coolest guys you can ever work with. Because a lot of the companies we work with are larger companies, and there's this huge bureaucracy, and every voice has to have, like, be approved by 10 people, and all the reads are really stiff because you have to have 10 people approving what the voice sounds like. But when Josh comes into a session, he's like, hey, what's up, dudes? You guys come in and make the awesome. Yeah, I'm going to sit back and just, like, make fart jokes. I'm going to go take a power dump. See ya. He literally will tell me every session, he's like, hey, guy, I'm going to go take a power dump in your bathroom. Those guys made, in case you aren't aware, they made Comic Jumper, Explosion Man, Miss Explosion Man, The Maw. They're super, super cool guys. Like, I'm super, super excited. And they're working on a game right now that I don't know if they've announced yet, but when they do announce it, you're gonna flip. It's crazy. It's so freaking funny. And the people they've cast in it are awesome. So, yes.
How hard is it today to get into voice acting?
Really
I know y'all paved the way, but is it harder now or is it?
Oh, it's way hard now. It's really hard. Like, I'm lucky I got him when I did. I mean, I'm also lucky that I have a super deep voice that a lot of people don't have, so that certainly helps. But if you've got just if you've got a higher voice, or if you're not, like, old people are harder to find, like middle-aged people are even harder to find. But man, if you've got a young heroic voice, you're in trouble, dude. There's so many people. Because when I started, I told you guys there were like 15 people on the roster. Now there's maybe 600 people on Funimation's call list. There's so many actors now, and voice acting is an awesome thing to do, and a lot of people want to get into it. And I don't, man. The only suggestion I have would be the suggestion that I heard. Who was it who gave this advice to somebody? It might have been Scott McNeil. Might have basically said, all right, what you do is you find out where they're building an anime production studio, and you move there before anyone else does, and you're waiting there when they open. So yeah, it's super hard to get into this business, you know. It's worth it though. You just have to have a kind of thick skin, because there's a lot of rejection. Man, there's a ton of it. It's just gotta. My advice to anyone who wants to get into voice acting is to figure out how to do something that's as close to the voice acting field as possible, like be a studio engineer or be a writer or work with like a production company or work in marketing. And there's other ways to get closer to what you like to do. Because a lot of, like Chris Bevins that we were talking about earlier, he's an actor now. He was an engineer when he first started. He became a director, and then he's an actor now. So a lot of people kind of make their way up in that sort of way. So, yes, Snake.
All right, I have a question for you. Let's see. Do you know what was it like working in Metroid Prime 3 as Rundas?
Oh, it was awesome. Like, it was the first time like there'd even been any voices, like significant amount of voices in any Nintendo game. So we got to go out to got to go out to Retro Studios in Austin, which was really, really cool. The director there, his name is Scott Peterson. He's awesome, and all the people there that work on Metroid are super, super cool. It was just fun.
Do you think you can do the voice right now?
I have a hard time remembering what that voice was because I have not played that game in a long time. Like there've been a couple generations of game systems, so I've forgotten what it sounds like. Probably, I'm gonna guess he's a guy who doesn't want to be there.
Right.
So I'm guessing he probably sounded like this. Yes.
I know that y'all did like a digital remastering of Dragon Ball Z, but what made y'all make a remake of Dragon Ball Z into Dragon Ball Z Kai?
Oh yeah, that wasn't our decision. That was actually the Japanese did that. And the goal of Dragon Ball Z Kai was to remove all of the stuff that wasn't part of the manga.
But you see, by them doing that, the character's voice actor was not even scheduled to be into Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Right. There's some actors that didn't make. I mean, there's some that have just weren't around or weren't available during the recordings.
And one more question, if I may. And how did y'all, how y'all put the voice actors with the music of the Japanese?
How do we do that?
Yeah.
Well, when we get in the episodes from Japan, they come with the episodes come with a 5:1 mix if it has it, or a stereo mix of just Japanese, and then they separate all the elements out. So there's the Japanese stuff, the Japanese just voice only that they remove, and we put our voices on top of it. And we just put our voices in it. When we get the episode, it already has the music in it.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Or you hire Bruce Faulkner and make him do it.
Yeah, or hire Bruce Faulkner, who I don't think we've worked with in a really, really, really long time. I don't even know what that guy's doing these days. Yes?
Can we get it? It's over 9,000 quote?
It's over 9,000 quote! End quote! And scene. Yeah.
Fairy Tale, it's a show you're a part of.
Yes.
What kind of reaction have you received for it, and did you have to try out for Elfman?
Oh yeah, we all had to audition for that one. Fairy Tale has been really, really well received everywhere. I like any work, and I like voice acting in general. And as much as I like Fallman, I don't know how it works because I don't actually get to watch the episodes when they're done. But man, when you just read his lines back to back, I just kind of joke in between each take. I'm like, all right, send me the next cue. It's gonna have something about being a man in it. I'm a man. I mean, it gets to the point where it's just so ridiculous. I'm like, I don't get it anymore. I don't get it. But then he had a pretty cool. They had a pretty good story about him. But then it went back to be a man. You with a friend helping you hold your hand up.
How was it working with Colleen and Vic for Swanson Reservoir?
Oh, I hate those two. Just miserable people. Like, Colleen's just always angry, and Vic is just such a negative person. You know? No, actually, I got to work with Colleen, but I didn't get to work at all with Vic because I think there was when they originally recorded Tsubasa Chronicles, there was a different voice for Fi for a long time. And then the voice actor became unavailable, and they didn't want to just change the voice in the middle, so they went and had Vic re-record over all of that stuff that the other actor had already done, and then move forward. So I really didn't. I was mostly done recording my stuff before he even got there. And we, like, just FYI, we never really work with another actor in the booth. As a voice director, I get to see a lot of actors, but we go in one at a time because of the timing that's required to do it. You have to bring the actors in one at a time. So in the case of, that's why the Elfman stuff is so weird, because you don't get to play between your last line and then the line next. It's just cue up the next line, I'm a man, cue up the next line, I'm a man, cue up the next line, check me out, I'm a man, like, look, I'm a man. And that was the weird thing about playing Alex Louis Armstrong, because by the end of the Full Metal Alchemist series, he wasn't as involved, so I didn't know what was going on in the series. All it was like Mike could go, yeah, in this one you just go, boys, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Okay, I'll leave now. Yes.
What was it like working with High Res Studios on Tribes of Sun? Because that game is awesome, and you
Yeah.
as the announcer for the book.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally sick, and gets me all pumped up. It's like, hey, that's this.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I always forget about that because I never work directly with the company. I work with a different guy who does all of their audio. The guy's name is Chris Rickwood, and I didn't expect that game to have so many characters in it, because at first they're like, hey, we need a few characters, and then a few months later they go, hey, we need a few more characters, and like, yeah, we need a lot more characters, and it was like, we need a whole lot more characters, and it turned into something a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. But it was fun. The fun thing about Tribes is that we had to do a lot of, it's like iterative dialogue, which is you go, where you have to do a lot of sentences that are broken up into pieces that'll later be put together. So it's like string dialogue. It's like, the enemy is at our base. You know, the enemy is over there. You know, the blue team has our flag. The red team is at our base. You know, so
Killing your dudes.
yeah, killing your dudes. Yes, in the back.
Who's your favorite fellow voice actor, and could you try and do an imitation of them?
Let's see. Let's see. Man, I like so many of the voice actors. It's hard to do an impression of all the voice actors. Let's see. Patrick Seitz is an awesome guy, and this guy Patrick always like talks down here. Do you guys know Patrick Seitz at all? He is like this huge dude, super tall, has this kind of deepish voice, and orders the girliest drinks of anyone I know. And he's kind of funny because he'll go up to a bartender and goes, all right, here's the deal. Make me a drink that you would make if you were going to try and get a girl really drunk. Wow, Patrick, you're awesome. One of the funniest voice actresses that has one of the funniest voices, her name is Carrie Savage. Have you guys ever met Carrie? Carrie has this teeny tiny voice. I mean, if there was a chart of voices, my voice would be here and hers would be here. Like, it was just, we are on opposite ends of the voice spectrum. And she's so funny because she's super polite, but in that voice, I want to kind of scream and pull her eyeballs out sometimes. She's like, excuse me, but I'm wondering if there's any way that maybe, I could go to the bathroom maybe? I'm like, oh my god, just step out of the booth if you gotta go to the bathroom. She's so super polite, but that voice just makes me like cringe sometimes, but she's amazing as creatures. Like, so I didn't have to act too much in Subasa Chronicles when he like always was annoyed by Mokina. Let's see. God, there's so many voice actors. Like I love them all. Like I don't think there's any voice actors I dislike that, like, at least of the ones I like. Yeah, Twisted Metal.
I'm just kind of thinking here. You got Broly and you got Vic Mignogna. I don't know how that matches, but I was just wondering if you could drive Broly.
What? Oh man, Broly. I'm glad I didn't get cast as Broly, dude. That boy, like Vic loves the fact that he gets to say he was the voice of Broly, but he hates playing Broly when he comes in. And he'll probably tell you that he loves doing it, but there's no way on earth he loves doing it. There's no way, because there's nothing to that character at all. All of his like video game voiceover sessions, it'll be all of his script will say is Kakarot, Kakarot. Kakarot, scream, yell, Kakarot. Because Vic does a lot of like, you know, Vic mostly does kind of higher voiced roles, and for him he's supposed to be darker and deeper in this, but he has to preserve his voice, or else if he screams too much, he can't do, you know, Ed the next day. So he'd come in like, Kakarot, and he'd go,
Took a lot out of me, okay.
I mean, and I don't blame him though, like, because Vic is the most positive person. He never would say a negative thing. So if you even asked him about like that, he'd probably say, no, I love doing it, but there's no way. It's basically just like, how much do you love carrying this big, like, jar of fecal matter from one side of the room? he got a DBZ poop sandwich right there for a voice. But yeah, Vic's a really good guy. He's super talented. Yeah, Frank.
Last year, Sunny was talking about trying out or auditioning for the Toonami Tom.
Oh, yeah.
And he mentioned that you had auditioned as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember the voice you did? Or?
Yeah, I do, because I remember that vividly. When we auditioned for the Toonami Tom robot, they didn't give us any information. They just said, it's a robot. And so they say it's a robot, and they didn't give us a picture of it. They didn't tell us what it was going to be. And we went to the studio, and it was, I'll be honest, it was a little annoying because they brought all of us in, and normally this doesn't happen, but they said, all right, who wants to go first? And they all looked at me, and I'm like, all right, I'll go first. So I did my audition. It was just like, I am a robot, or whatever. And when I was done, they're like, oh yeah, we didn't want something really robotic for that guy. So oh, thanks for putting robot on the sign there. And then, of course, and that gave all the other actors a moment to go, oh, okay, change gears. Because once that happened, I was like, I does not compute. Syntax error, can I leave and come back? So yeah, that was, what'd you say?
Abort, retry, ignore.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So Ayame has to be one of my favorite voices that you've done.
I'm sorry.
But I can't put him in your face. Ayame,
I know, because he doesn't have a beard, does he?
It's because he's not deep
He's not bald.
and manly.
Yeah.
Can you do it just so I can see it come
Oh,
out of your
yeah.
mouth?
Well, the thing about him is that he's so charming. When he was student council president, I can't even remember half the lines he said because it was so crazy. He was a hard voice to do. You know what another hard voice to do was, and it doesn't seem like it would be that hard, is I played a character in the show. Everything he said had one long delivery until the very last word in the sentence. And it was Father Trace in Trinity Blood. Yeah. And that was so hard because as voice actors we're trained to try and inflect as much as we can, or like really try and convey a message. But Mike wanted it to where if you were saying a line, everything would have to come out the same pitch except for the last syllable. And that was it. Didn't matter what you were doing or what you were trying to say. Everything had to sound exactly the same until the last word. It was really hard to do. It's like, yeah, less meaning. Any more? Oh yeah.
I know you have a production company too. Do you prefer the production or the voice acting side of things?
I prefer the variety of stuff I get to do because one day I get to voice a tampon commercial, and the next day I get to make sounds for a video game, and the next day I get to cast someone to be a freaky monster, and the next day we're doing a mix. So I really like the diversity of what I get to do, and I couldn't encourage you guys more highly. Like if you want to get into voice acting, do as much stuff as you can around it, because there's so many other fun things to do too, that aren't nearly as competitive, that are equally fun because you get to work in that business. It's really neat. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll get the guy behind you because I answered one. Fight. I'm just kidding.
Out of all the roles that
that you've done so far, which one would you say you've had the most fun doing and why?
Well, honestly, I've had more fun working on panty and stocking and garter belt than any other show. I'm serious. If you guys are old enough, watch that show. It is, I have to, unfortunately, I can't even quote a line from him unless it's like an 18 and up panel because it's so inappropriate. You can't guess, actually. In my first panel yesterday, I was like, is anyone under 18? And there was this girl over here, and she raised her hand, and I figured she was close enough. I found out today she was 11 years old. So unfortunately, I didn't say anything, and unfortunately, her dad was a cop, so that would have been a big problem. So, yes?
I just wanted to ask, do you think the industry will ever officially acknowledge or have anything to do with the Bridge series that has been so popular on YouTube? Or they'll ever gain some hint of respectability considering...
I think they have respectability in the way that they want it. Because I don't think they can't... Remember, they can't... It's not Funimation's choice, and it's somebody else's property, you know what I mean? It's like it was somebody else's show that they took the material from, and man, you haven't worked with a Japanese company. They are extremely sincere about the way their show has to be handled. So it would be an incredible admission on their part to actually acknowledge it as an official production, because they are so careful. When you work with Toei, I know the licensing people, I remember going into their offices while we were working on the show, and they would get an email back that said like, Bulma's hair in the trading card isn't blue enough, you know, like really, really obscure directions, but they were extremely picky, so yeah, it's really tricky. I'm sorry, I skipped you earlier.
Do you often get recognized while in non-con areas, or do you have like a celebrity?
Only in GameStop and in grocery stores. Like, actually, occasionally I do, and it's the weirdest thing. Like, it's so strange to get recognized by someone, especially as a voice actor. It's just something you're not expecting ever.
You should wear a big cowboy hat like Scott McNeil, and people will always notice you.
Yeah, that's why I don't wear a cowboy hat. In fact, on some larger cons, I'll be totally honest, I will buy a mask from the dealer's room just so I can walk around for a minute and look at the dealer's room. Just like I'll go and buy like a Naruto mask and just go. Because it's not that bad. It's just sometimes I'm like, oh, I've really got to find something. It'll take forever if I say hi to everybody. So, yes, dude who looks just like Charlie Day. I've thought that the entire time, man. It's been distracting the whole time.
I was wondering, do you ever go to like supermarkets like that and just do a different voice just to break monotony or something like that? Like go in as, we'll say, Kuwabara or something?
No, not normally. Like it's always like, because then you have to explain to people who don't know what you do why you did that.
But they might not know if you went in the entire time as Jace.
It's
like going to a McDonald's drive-thru as Kuwabara.
Actually, I've been wanting to do that for a really long. I've been wanting to make that video for a long time, and I'm wondering if I'll get in trouble for doing it. But I've always wanted to just go through drive-thrus and record myself as silly characters.
Yeah.
I'll have to work on that. I use the Piccolo voice sometimes if I'm like at a concert and I want to yell something. It's like, yeah! That's my going to concert voice. Like, play it again! But I do use my voice for good purposes too. I can get anything I want over customer service. Like if it's on the telephone and it's not in Europe, I can usually get whatever I want on the telephone. I just know, like, people are intimidated by my low voice, and I get whatever I want. So that's always helpful. I'd like to pay less for cable. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does not work in the UK though, because I was at a convention in somewhere in London or something like that, and I got a call from British Airways, a courtesy call in the morning that said,
hello, seems your flight's been cancelled. Thank you, goodbye. And so I had to call customer service. I'm like, wait a minute, someone just called, an automated thing called me and told me my flight's canceled? Huh? Like, oh yes, it seems that's happened. I'm like, but, alright, does this help? I don't know what you're doing, sir. It seems like your flight's been cancelled. This isn't working. But how am I supposed to get home? Well, that does seem like a bit of a problem, doesn't it? All right. So that wasn't fun. Yeah, you.
Yes, sir. I was told that you worked with Team Forster on the Bardock movie.
Who would have told you such a lie?
I was just wondering what it was like, working with those guys.
I had never worked with those guys before. Why would I do that? Why would I ever put my voice on a dub that's not authorized by Funimation? That would be ridiculous. That would get me in a lot of trouble, so I guarantee you that was not me. Next question, please. But I bet if I did work with them, they'd be awesome.
Chuck Huber did it, though.
No, he wouldn't have done that. No, that would totally be against his contract. Yes, the lovely old announce.
Yes, you said you're talking about using Piccolo's voice for concerts. What kind of music do you like?
I actually like a really broad range of music. I like a lot of stuff, but to be honest, I really have always, when I was a kid, when I was about 6 years old, I figured out what a synthesizer was, like a keyboard was, and I always loved keyboards. And so all the way through my whole life, I like to fiddle around and trying to make keyboards and sounds and stuff like that work. So I am a huge fan of like electronic type music. I like the glitch mob, and I do honestly like, well, I liked dubstep. Now there's a bit too much of it. Now there's like Rice Krispie cereals. Whoa, whoa. I like Burial actually. Anything that's on the Warp record label I really like, and but also, I like I don't know. I like some stuff that other people like too, but unfortunately, a lot of my music collection makes most people go, "Oh God, seriously? That's music?" Because I really like Eamon Tobin is probably my favorite like musicians. I like Prefuse 73. Anyway, blur blur blur. I'm talking. I'm rambling. Yes. The story. I told it yesterday. You probably. Oh yeah, there are new people. I only have like 8 minutes left. But I'll tell you the very Cliff's Notes version of it. They have to stop recording. You know what? I think they're about to kick me out of this room because I'm not wanted here anymore. Let me see. I do. Let's see. I guess I could hang around for a little bit somewhere and sign some stuff if you guys wanted me to. But I don't know if I can do it in here because there's probably something going on in here right after this.
Yeah, they're showing anime.
Is there nothing going on here after this? Is anyone know?
It's animation. It's animation.
Oh.
Most likely you and
I'm just kidding. Is it anime showing? As in, like they're gonna.
They're just gonna turn on episodes and just let it run.
Oh, well, let them turn on some episodes. If anyone wants me to sign anything for you guys, I can do it right now. So, and those of you who are leaving, thank you very much. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.